You were lied to. Work hard and you'll be successful. Grind harder than everyone else and wealth will follow. Hustle, sacrifice, push through exhaustion, and eventually you'll be rich. Except it's not true. And you know, it's not true because you've watched it fail. You've worked hard. 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. You've sacrificed weekends, skipped vacations, said no to friends and family. You've done everything they told you to do. And you're still not rich. Meanwhile, there's someone working 30 hours per week, taking 3-month vacations, moving slowly through life, and somehow building more wealth than you. That's not a coincidence. That's the Ikigai Paradox. The Japanese discovered something that completely contradicts Western hustle culture. Hard work by itself doesn't create wealth. In fact, hard work without Ikigai destroys wealth systematically. Today, he'll discover why working hard keeps you broke, what Ikigai actually means, and why most people completely misunderstand it, and how to apply the Ikigai Paradox to build wealth without burning out. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the hardest workers are often the brokest, and what to do instead. Subscribe and comment. How many hours per week are you currently working? Now, let's talk about the paradox that destroys hustle culture. Chapter 1. The Hard Work Trap. Let me tell you about David and Kenji. Two men, same age, similar industries, completely different approaches. 10 years later, completely different outcomes. Let's start with David, the American hustle. David was 32 years old when I met him. He worked in tech sales, 75-hour weeks, every week, no exceptions. He'd wake up at 5 in the morning, check emails in bed, work through breakfast, commute while on calls, work straight through lunch at his desk, stay late every night, come home at 8, eat dinner while answering emails, work until 11 and collapse. Weekends? Saturday mornings were for catching up on work. Sunday afternoons were for preparing for Monday. Vacations? He took his laptop and worked from the beach. What's the point of vacation if you're falling behind? David was the hardest working person in his company. Everyone knew it. His boss praised his work ethic. His coworkers respected his dedication. He won awards for top performance. After 10 years of this, David earned $95,000 per year. He had $12,000 saved. He was exhausted, burnt out, and his marriage was failing. His health? Terrible. High blood pressure, pre-diabetic, chronic back pain from sitting all day, insomnia from stress. His wealth? Practically zero, despite working 75 hours per week for a decade. Kenji, the Japanese approach. Kenji was also 32, also in tech sales. But his approach was completely different. He worked 35 to 40 hours per week, never more. When the workday ended, he left. He didn't check email at night. He didn't work weekends. When he took vacation, he actually disconnected. But here's what made Kenji different. He spent 5 hours per week on something that wasn't work, something he loved, something that made him feel alive, something that connected him to the world. He spent those 5 hours teaching judo to kids in his community. He wasn't paid for it. It had nothing to do with his job. It just brought him joy and purpose. After 10 years, Kenji earned $60,000 per year. Less than David, but he had $85,000 saved and invested. His health was excellent. His relationships were strong. And he'd started a side business teaching online sales courses that generated $40,000 per year in additional income. Total effective income, $100,000. Savings rate, 35%. Net worth, over $200,000. The paradox is, David worked twice as many hours as Kenji. David earned more at his job than Kenji. But Kenji built 5 times more wealth. How? This is the Ikigai Paradox. Hard work alone doesn't create wealth. Purpose-driven work creates wealth, and hard work without purpose actively destroys it. Chapter 2. What Ikigai actually means. Most people think Ikigai is that four-circle Venn diagram you've seen on the internet. You know the one. What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for. Where all four overlap is your Ikigai. That's not Ikigai. That's a Western invention created by a Spanish author who misunderstood the Japanese concept entirely. The real Ikigai is a Japanese compound word. Iki means life. Gai means value or worth. Ikigai means the reason you get up in the morning, the thing that makes life worth living. And here's the critical part Western culture misses. Ikigai is often something you not paid for. In Japan, many people's Ikigai is separate from their job. Their job provides income. Their Ikigai provides meaning. These are different things, and the Japanese don't confuse them. An accountant's Ikigai might be pottery. A banker's Ikigai might be gardening. A teacher's Ikigai might be woodworking. The job funds life. The Ikigai makes life worth funding. The Western mistake is, Western culture says, your work must be your passion. Find your passion, monetize it, and you'll never work a day in your life. This is toxic advice that creates two disasters. Disaster 1, you try to monetize your passion. Your passion becomes work. Work destroys the joy. Now you have no passion and a job you resent. Disaster 2, you can't find a job that's also your passion, so you feel like a failure. You think something's wrong with you because you don't love your job. The Japanese wisdom, separate these things. Your job doesn't have to be your passion. Your job can just be your job. Something you're competent at. Something that pays well enough. Something that's sustainable. Your Ikigai lives outside your job. And that separation is what makes both sustainable. Kenji's Ikigai. Remember Kenji? His job was tech sales. Was he passionate about selling software? No. Did he love cold calling prospects? Absolutely not. But he was good at it. It paid well enough. It left him with time and energy for his actual Ikigai, teaching judo to kids. That's what got him out of bed excited. That's what made his life meaningful. That's what connected him to community and purpose. And here's the paradox. Because his Ikigai was separate from his job, he never burned out at his job. Because he wasn't trying to derive meaning from work, work could just be work. David's missing Ikigai. David tried to make his job his entire life. Work was supposed to provide income, meaning, purpose, identity, and fulfillment. That's impossible. No job can bear that weight. So he worked harder and harder, trying to extract meaning from something that couldn't provide it. The harder he worked, the less meaning he found. The less meaning he found, the harder he worked. This is the death spiral of hustle culture. Chapter 3. The 4 reasons hard work keeps you broke. Why does hard work by itself keep you broke? 4 reasons that the Ikigai Paradox reveals. Reason 1. Hard work prevents learning. When you work 70 hours per week, when do you learn new skills? When do you read? When do you take courses? When do you develop the expertise that actually increases your value? You don't. You're too busy working. David worked 75 hours per week, doing the same sales tasks for 10 years. He got very efficient at those specific tasks, but he never learned new skills. He never became more valuable. His income stagnated. Kenji worked 35 to 40 hours per week. He spent 5 hours per week on his Ikigai, teaching judo. He spent another 5 to 10 hours per week learning, reading sales books, taking online courses, studying persuasion and psychology. Over 10 years, Kenji accumulated 500 hours of learning. He became an expert. That expertise let him launch his own training business. Hard work prevents growth. Strategic learning creates growth. The paradox is, the person working half as many hours becomes twice as valuable because they have time to learn. Reason 2. Hard work destroys health. When you work 75 hours per week, when do you exercise? When do you cook healthy meals? When do you sleep 8 hours? When do you manage stress? You don't. There's no time. David's health collapsed. High blood pressure, pre-diabetes, chronic pain, insomnia, depression, medical expenses, $4,000 per year out of pocket, lost productivity from being sick, countless hours, lost years of life expectancy, probably a decade. You can't build wealth if you're spending money on medical problems caused by overwork. You can't build wealth if you die at 55 from a stress-induced heart attack. Kenji maintained his health. He practiced judo 3 times per week. He cooked most of his meals. He slept 7 to 8 hours per night. Medical expenses, minimal. The paradox is, the person working fewer hours lives longer and healthier, compounding wealth over more years. Reason 3. Hard work misses opportunities. When you work 75 hours per week, when do you network? When do you explore side projects? When do you notice opportunities? When do you have the energy to pursue them? You don't. You're exhausted. David missed every opportunity that came his way. Friends invited him to invest in his startup. He was too busy to even evaluate it. A former colleague reached out about starting a consulting business together. David was too burned out to even consider it. He was so focused on working hard in his current job that he never saw anything beyond his current job. Kenji had time and energy. When a former client asked if he'd consult on a sales strategy project, he said yes. $5,000 for 15 hours of work. When another friend asked if he'd teach a weekend workshop on sales techniques, he said yes. $2,000 for one weekend. Those opportunities compounded. His consulting led to more consulting. His workshops led to the idea for online courses. His online courses became a $40,000 per year business. The paradox is, the person working fewer hours sees and seizes opportunities the hard worker never even notices. Reason 4. Hard work has no leverage. This is the most important reason. When you work 75 hours per week, you're trading time for money. 1 hour of your time equals 1 hour of pay. Linear relationship, no leverage. There are only 168 hours in a week. If you work 75 hours, you've hit your ceiling. You can't work more. Your income is capped by your hours. David hit this ceiling. He was maxed out. 75 hours per week. He couldn't work more without literally dying. His income couldn't grow unless his employer gave him raises. He had no control. Kenji worked 35 to 40 hours at his job, but he spent time building assets, his online courses. Once created, those courses sold while he slept. He recorded them once. They generated income forever. 1 hour of work creating the course generated hundreds of hours of income. That's leverage. The paradox is, the person working fewer hours creates assets with leverage. The person working more hours trades time for money with no leverage. Chapter 4. The Ikigai Wealth Formula. After David burned out and his marriage nearly ended, he discovered Ikigai. He restructured his entire life. 18 months later, everything changed. Here's the formula that saved him, built from the Ikigai Paradox. Step 1. Separate job from Ikigai. Your job doesn't have to be your passion. Stop trying to force it. David stopped trying to love his sales job. He accepted, this is a job. It's a means to an end. It pays well enough. That's sufficient. This acceptance removed enormous pressure. He stopped feeling guilty for not loving his work. He stopped trying to derive meaning from something that couldn't provide it. Step 2. Work strategically, not hard. David cut his hours from 75 to 45 per week. Not because he got lazy, because he got strategic. He asked, what 20% of my activities generate 80% of my results? Answer, building relationships with key clients, closing large deals, strategic planning. Everything else? Meetings that could be emails, reports nobody read, busy work that felt productive but generated nothing. He eliminated the 80% of activities that generated only 20% of results. He focused entirely on the 20% that generated 80%. His results? They didn't drop, they improved, because he was working strategically instead of just working hard. Step 3. Find your real Ikigai. David asked himself, what would I do every week even if I wasn't paid for it? What makes me feel alive? Answer: coaching youth basketball. He'd loved basketball as a kid. He loved teaching. He loved seeing kids develop. He started coaching a local youth team. 4 hours per week, unpaid, pure Ikigai. This changed everything. He had a reason to leave work on time. He had something to look forward to. He had meaning and purpose outside of work. Step 4. Protect Ikigai time fiercely. The hustle culture voices immediately attacked. Friends said, "You're coaching for free? That's a waste of time. You could be making money." David ignored them. Ikigai time was sacred, non-negotiable, more important than overtime, more important than extra projects. Because Ikigai time was what kept him sane, healthy, and energized. Without it, he'd burn out again. Step 5. Use saved time to build leverage. David now worked 45 hours at his job, coached basketball 4 hours per week. That left significant time and energy. He used it to build leverage. He started a sales coaching side business. He recorded his sales techniques and strategies. He created online courses. Year 1, $3,000 in side income. Year 2, $18,000. Year 3, $42,000. That's leverage. Work done once, paid for repeatedly. The results after 18 months. Job hours reduced from 75 to 45 per week. Job performance improved despite fewer hours. Income from job, same $95,000. Side income, $18,000 first year, growing. Health, dramatically improved. Lost 20 pounds. Blood pressure normalized. Relationship, marriage saved. He was present for his family. Savings rate jumped from nearly 0 to 28%. Net worth from $12,000 to $47,000 in 18 months. Fulfillment, found meaning in coaching. Life felt worth living again. The paradox proven is, working 30% fewer hours generated more wealth, better health, and actual happiness. Hard work without Ikigai kept him broke and miserable. Strategic work plus Ikigai made him wealthy and alive. Chapter 5. The Ikigai Wealth Principles. The Japanese don't separate work and life. They integrate them through Ikigai. Here are the principles that create wealth without burnout. Principle 1. Your job is funding, not fulfillment. Stop expecting your job to make you happy. It's not designed to do that. Your job is a tool, a vehicle, a means to fund the life that does make you happy. When you accept this, you stop resenting your job for not being meaningful. You can appreciate it for what it actually provides: money, stability, structure. Principle 2. Ikigai lives outside compensation. Your Ikigai is probably something nobody will pay you for. And that's okay. That's actually perfect. The moment money enters, dynamics change. When your Ikigai stays uncommercial, it remains pure. It remains yours. It remains joy. Principle 3. Quality of work beats quantity. Working 70 hours per week isn't impressive. It's inefficient. The Japanese value craftsmanship, precision, and excellence, not volume. Work fewer hours. Work better. Focus on what actually matters. Eliminate everything else. Principle 4. Rest is productive. Western culture sees rest as laziness. Japanese culture sees rest as essential for sustainable excellence. When you rest, you restore energy. When you restore energy, you work better. When you work better, you create more value in less time. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity. Rest enables productivity. Principle 5. Build assets, not just income. Trading time for money has a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. Building assets has no ceiling. Assets include businesses, investments, skills, relationships, reputation, systems, courses, books. These generate value beyond your working hours. This is how wealth compounds. Principle 6. Longevity beats intensity. Hustle culture glorifies intensity. Burning bright for a few years, then burning out. Japanese culture values longevity, working sustainably for decades, compounding results slowly over a lifetime. The person who works strategically for 40 years builds infinitely more wealth than the person who grinds intensely for 5 years and quits. So here's what you need to understand about hard work and wealth. Hard work alone won't make you rich. In fact, hard work without Ikigai will keep you broke, burnt out, and miserable. The Ikigai Paradox reveals a different path. Work strategically, not hard. Separate your job from your meaning. Find purpose outside of compensation. Build leverage instead of trading time. Rest and restore. Compound over decades. Western culture lied to you. Hustle harder is terrible advice. It destroys health, relationships, and ultimately wealth. The Japanese discovered something better centuries ago. Ikigai, the reason you get up in the morning. The thing that makes life worth living. And it's usually something you're not paid for. When you find your Ikigai and protect it, when you work strategically instead of just hard, when you build assets with leverage, wealth follows. Not immediately, but inevitably. So here's your challenge this week. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Question 1. What would I do every week even if nobody paid me for it? Question 2. What 20% of my current work activities generate 80% of my results? Question 3. What could I build once that would generate income repeatedly? Then comment your answers. Don't overthink this. Just answer honestly. If this video challenged everything you believe about hard work and success, good. That discomfort is growth. Subscribe to Monetisum for more wisdom that contradicts hustle culture and actually builds wealth. Remember, hard work is not the formula. Strategic work plus Ikigai is the formula. Work less, build more, live fully. Ancient principles, modern prosperity. This is Monetisum. Thank you for watching.